Back at the shop, Oldsmobile 455, I'm showing you a situation where I didn't really even do a good enough job on the Bondo, and I thought I could fill it with this thick primer. And as I was doing, I kept coming back and trying to flood an area until it finally got a run. So if you had to sand this thick primer down until you met up with the rest of the bumper, you'd be loading up a whole bunch of sandpaper and you'd be taking your time. Sanding is a real drag. Most people don't like sanding. So you get a razor blade and you put a bend in it like this. And it's just like when you're using a Bondo and it's not fully hardened, you can take a cheese grater and level off all the, the lines that you put in it with the spreader. And then it makes it easier when it comes time to being fully hard and you sand it. You're not wasting all this time trying to get it back down to level and clogging up sandpaper. Well, razor blade does the same thing when you stiffen it. And you just drag it. And you'll see I'm taking off this big run that's down here. And then you'll see as it comes level, the color's all gonna change. And don't go thinking I'm a genius or anything. This is all handed down, and I'm handing it to you so that it'll save you time. And if you watch those TV shows on Saturday morning on Channel 51, Spike TV, they show all kinds of tips. That's where I got it from. A guy named Tommy Boucher on Detroit Iron. A lot of times you've done this whole car and now you're on your final coats of clear and you get a run in the clear and you're like, oh no, now what do I do? And he just showed how he scraped it until it got to be level. Then they sanded it with like 800 grit and then 1,000, 1,500, 3,000. And then they knocked the whole thing down with 3,000 to get it so it's not lumpy. They get rid of the orange peel and then they polish it out with different rubbing compounds, and then it looks like a mirror. So this is what happens when you put paint on too thick. And it gets trapped underneath, and it's been sitting for like, what, 2-3 weeks now? And it bubbled. So here I was coming here to paint the epoxy primer. I just got to get this off and sand it out. Just blending it in. And it's, you can't make a mistake. It's just, you can always cover, start over, or it just takes time. We thought we were going to be painting right away. Now I got to blend this out.
Here's our complex mixing machine here. Use up the rest of this little can. Got that running. Got to do a little more tweaking to it.
It's going to be getting dark. Middle of summer, it usually gets dark at 9, but each month now we're losing a month. It's probably like 7 o'clock now. Maybe I can get this roughed out in 240 and we'll paint it. We got to get it back into the building, and even inside the building there might be mosquitoes or a moth that can get into your paint. I don't know if I didn't have enough hardener in the primer, the Bondo, and this never hardened, which was a chain reaction with the stuff on top of it, or because I put the filler primer on too thick and it just, skinned over, but then the stuff underneath never gets a chance to harden, and it's gummy. Well, now that I'm going after those spots that were bubbled, I thought I had them feathered out. I didn't. I'm not that good at this, and I should have had some kind of guide coat, but I didn't. So now I'm getting this the same 180, then I'll go to 240, and then we're gonna do it with that heavy fill primer.
Gonna make a reproduction bolt cassette. So some thin sheet metal, similar to what was on there. Traced it, punched it, drilled some holes. Looks like it's gonna be close enough. The shoulder might become an issue. I have to add some washers, but I'm gonna clean this plate up and tack these on. Not the prettiest thing, but it should work. I'm going to offset these tubes to get them more centered on those plates. These have to be tacked on at a 90. It's kind of an eyeball factor here. Just went with 3 good tacks on each of those in case we got to cut them out and do them over.
As I kept on sanding, I was finding other little bubbles, and then I picked at them, and I just kept picking, and it was lifting, and went all the way down to that old Bondo that we used, and I just dug it all out from here to here, and used that razor knife and just peeled it out. Then I slapped some new Bondo in there, and then I'll sand that out with 80. Hopefully by the time I'm finished all sanding this out, then we'll start over with another coat of this black primer. It's coming out like shit. All you can do is learn by experience. How many cars do you really do in your lifetime? So this time I didn't have the paint adjusted properly, and it really came out orange peelish, and it's really hot out today. So hopefully it'll lay down flatter. And that's all I can say. You know, there are a few imperfections that you can still see. Right here was where that old Bondo didn't harden, so I had to take it out from here to here, dig that all out and blend it. While I was sanding the rest of the stuff, it started to harden. And I mean, if you look at it, you'll notice it, but how picky are you going to be?
I think this is good enough to bolt it back on for the time being and move on with the project.
Right.
Seems pretty rigid. I'm just going to go for it.
So this is a Wisconsin car. It's seen a lot of winters. There is rust in this thing. Their car, even after it was all fully restored, you're not going to get rich off of selling this car. It's something that he just wants to go out and beat the hell out of. And we're just going to fix it cosmetically. We're going to fix the floor pans and stuff so she's sealed up.
So we're going to test fit these brackets we made before we fully weld them up, in case we got to trim a little off. And just see how the bumper fits on there with the fillers before we go any farther.
When you see these Oldsmobiles with a 8.5 rear end, you know, they're not as great as a 12 bolt, but they've had guys that had big block 455s, and that's what's in here. It's automatic. It can take the power. He's had it for years. So this thing does 12 seconds in the quarter mile, and this rear end is held up for a long time.
323s. And
323s.
And that rear end came factory with the C-clip eliminators.
So it's got this thing to stiffen this up as good as we can. And there's a fuel cell. We got to fix all the floor pan. When you got a car that's from Wisconsin, it's like it's been an acid bath and they were lightening it. You could just knock this and take half the rust off, so it's getting lighter. All right, we got this thing on. You know, we got some bolts on it. You can see where it's very adjustable. I can go one way or the other up. So we'll raise it and we'll start tightening up nuts, get it where we want it, and then he's going to fully weld it.
We're fully MIG welded at both ends. We get these painted up and get that bumper on there.
Remember, whenever you're working with a car, you got to have a beer too.
All right, you can see he's lost his balance and he's completely drunk right now, just like in the barn find video.
These little filler panels are what keep this is like real droopy. You see these on the forum that's for 73 to 77. These things are notorious for warping in the sun, and people want new ones that aren't. Sooner or later, they're going to get all warpy. But what it does is it fits in between here, trying to keep it from warping. So you got to put these pieces back in, and these are really brittle and old. This is really old. It's 1974, and it's been sitting out in the sun for, you know, eons. It's never in a garage. It's got an assorted collection of these, and then you just one-time shot, push them on.
Put your purse down. There you go.
Let me tighten my dress. So there you got it. You got a bumper that was all rusty. It was chrome, but it was all pitted. There was a hole. Patched all the holes where the rubber strip went through there. Bumperettes and around here. And welded it all up, patched the rust holes, primed, painted. We went through a bunch of crap. So that's done. So the next job will be the doors, working our way back. Does anybody like this sign that says Interceptor? I mean, this was the Mad Max times. And I like keeping everything low key, like a sleeper. He likes some flash saying it's an Interceptor. You can make a comment, say ditch it or keep it.